There he is, the incredible Matt Chambers, CEO and co-founder of Curtis Motorcycle, and this is right up Mikey's alley. Of course, the all-new electric motorcycle. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. The only difference is it can go a lot farther than a car. Uh, so, Matt, how did you get into this evolution with, obviously the motorcycle industry being a huge part of American heritage and branding, coming from my perspective, to take away the loud, muscle head vibrating motorcycle and turn it into the Curtis One?
Well, it started about 9 years ago. I brought in a design director, Pierre Treblanche, and we were working on the capstone bike for ICE, and he and I began discussing the potential of an electric future for motoring, and it made a lot of sense. And about 7 years ago, I brought in a young designer, Jordan Corneal, and we co-founded this idea built around Curtis, which would be a true American innovation legacy brand, pulling from the great inspiration of Glenn Hammond Curtis, who we believe was the greatest of all motorcycle innovators. And we've always thought of ourselves as kind of an advanced design house. So it fits, and the Curtis One is really kind of an extension of what we've always done. It's a very, very much a true luxury motoring experience at the very highest level. And the people that are buying the bike are customers that we're used to dealing with, and it's very comfortable for us where we are. And I'll get back to this later, but the experience of riding the bike is quite special. It's frankly better. It's a better machine.
Man, that's really interesting. I can tell that there's been an emphasis on both luxury and detail. And I'm not a motorcycle rider, but looking at the website,
they don't make them tall enough for you.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe we could talk about that, Matt. I can help design a tall man's motorcycle, but I love just a quote right next to the most interesting looking bike I've ever seen, the Oscar Wilde quote: "Art is the most intense form of individualization." And I think about the way you guys are positioning yourselves in a market that's been historically one that is loud, and it's rigid and rugged, and going into the electric space where it's so quiet. What's been the biggest difficulty there? Are you going after the same target audience, the same type of riders? Or are you trying to bring new riders in to be motorcycle users with the use of a more quiet and sleek machine versus the more traditional loud ones that we're so accustomed to seeing?
Well, David, you'd be the target audience. We can make a bike. Our bike is the first motorcycle among other firsts that has a fully adjustable suspension, and the bike can actually be longer or shorter, taller or shorter in height. So we can set you up, and you are the target audience. We want to bring people in that never thought they would own a motorcycle. It's very, very easy and effortless and much safer to use. It's accessible anytime. It's very important to understand that I rode the bike at 10:23 p.m. the night before my birthday. This year was my first ride on the bike, and it came out of our New Orleans studio at about 10:30 p.m. And everyone in the neighborhood came out to celebrate. If it had been one of our earlier bikes that was loud and shaking, and everyone would have called law enforcement. So the fact is, you could take it out at 6 in the morning. You could take it out at midnight at night. You can pick your spots to kind of illuminate your life, clarify what's going on in your life with a brief 40, 50-minute excursion on your Curtis. So that's kind of the vision of the brand, and we feel like that we'll be expanding to a lot more buyers. We feel the LEV space will grow to be much bigger than the ICE space ever was.
Matt, I love it. I love it. I'm in. Can you give me some specs in terms of charging, distance, speed, all of that stuff? Not that I need any more, but I'd love to hear it.
Well, the bike will deliver approximately 70 highway miles and about 120 in town. But the first bikes we're selling with 2 battery upgrades. So the idea, one of the great, sorry, I have an allergy here. One of the great benchmarks, milestone hits for our team was that we possibly could make a motorcycle that would last forever. The only real moving part where there's friction is the shaft itself. And that locates the whole motorcycle, which is locates the leg of the motorcycle to the core of the motorcycle, which is a new patent that we've got on the Curtis One that will be the foundation of all future Curtis motorcycles. So the effect is, and we also have this cooling system that makes it run very cool. So the idea is that we'll be able to upgrade your battery and update your software, and in 20 or 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, the bike will actually be better. So you buy the bike, you keep it, it's just one bike. This is a new form of sustainability as well, because there's nothing that would ever be obsolete about the motorcycle. This is very overbuilt and meant to be entirely, to have a core that is entirely fatigue resistant.
Matt, in addition to what you said about all of the technology that you're utilizing, that's extremely exciting. That the fact that it runs cool is really exciting to me. I mean, I see it, and that was been one of the biggest things that's dissuaded me throughout the years. I see guys and gals sitting on motorcycles in 90 and 100 degrees, and I know how hot it is. So that's really exciting.
That was one of the issues with getting away from ICE is to make power now and to meet the stringent governmental regulatory hurdles. They run extremely hot. And the Curtis One runs very, very cool, so you can touch it. I mean, it's not an issue. Now, when we get to the second battery upgrade on a bike, so if you bought a bike today and we upgraded the battery, let's say in 2030, you're probably looking at 200 miles. So the technology is getting better. And again, for our first customers, we're going to provide those upgrades as part of a kind of a lanyard, a Louisiana lanyard, an extra that you get if you buy early.
Well, I went to Tulane, so I knew exactly where you're going with that lanyard, and spent many days down there. And Dr. Eric George is one of our dear friends down there, a leader in New Orleans. But more importantly, you are targeting us three, right? 3 C-level executives, luxury all the way. That's your market. I'm always curious, I've worked with Indy and I've worked with Harley. I've, in the marketing days with athletes and celebrities, understanding endorsement and branding and what the emotional attachment is to a motorcycle. And it is a very intimate marketing relationship that people consider their motorcycles part of the family, just like a dog. And I compare the frequency of the relationship very similar to the way that an executive would feel about their dog. They may spend all day hammering everybody, and then they come home and, they baby their miniature dachshund. I see the same thing, with luxury motorcycles. Oh, don't touch this. I'm going to go take it for a walk. What are some of the key intimate and emotional aspects that you're gearing for with the Curtis One to sustain and even, as you said, increase that emotional attachment that C-level executives and luxury motorcycle owners have?
Thank you for what you said. I completely concur. For me, the biggest challenge has been, can we make an honest Curtis? Is it an honest motorcycle? I completely believe that the motorcycle is a person's most romantic object. It is the thing they will own that is the most significant, the most heirloom-like. If the motorcycle, if the Curtis One resonates as an authentic Curtis, then we're going to do very, very well. I believe it does, but only time will tell, to be honest. And that's always the key with motorcycles. Harley had tremendous success starting in the late 80s. In a way, we want to, as a business, we want to kind of follow their model, because they grew about 20% a year from the late 80s for 20 years. So we're going to start very small at the very tip top of the market, and then the technology that we have and the essential planning we've done over the past 7 years gives us what we believe is a very true contextual branded portfolio of products that will come out that will suit every taste type, style, and pocketbook over time. So the dream is really to express other people's dreams through motoring on two wheels. We have this fantasy that in 30 years, most likely all four-wheel devices will be on a pod, and you'll have your Curtis, and that'll be your analog use. So there won't really be a four-wheeled analog relationship, as everything will be on the grid, and that'll make it much cooler to ride the two-wheeler because everything else will be computer controlled. So you won't have to worry about someone pulling out in front of you making a mistake, and it should be really cool. Based upon what I'm feeling when I ride the bike, it's just, I can't emphasize enough, while I agree with the other David that the sound and there are things that we have to adapt to, but it's a better way, and everything happens for the right reason is kind of the first principle cornerstone of Curtis. And when you eliminate all the NVH, you're just left with the balance, the control, the precision of the machine. It's just, it really feels like you're flying when you're on the bike. Coming up a hill on a country lane, you're just like, and the bike is really smooth, so it's a bit like a magic carpet. It's very, very cool, not just cool temperature, but it also looks great. And I think sometimes we forget about how important it is the way the motorcycle looks with the rider integrated on the motorcycle, because people can see not just like we could all have a cool car. Nobody can really tell what we look like, but on your motorcycle, they don't just see your motorcycle, they see you on it and the way you integrate with it, which is a big factor with going to the other David, that I can make a bike, going to Weil's quote, I can dimensionally create a motorcycle that's perfect in terms of geometry for you, the way you want it to look, the way you want it to feel. That's all baked into the recipe of the cake.
Yeah, I think it's important because with office hours, we like to teach lessons. The highest level in marketing is something called fusion marketing. It's beyond intimacy. It's when we fuse our own, it only happens with a few products in our entire life, that it's more than loyalty, it's more than intimacy. It's called fusion. And the Curtis One has that typified fusion marketing, that you fuse yourself and you identify yourself with the actual product. And the way that you described and illustrated how people see you with the bike, it immediately sparked that thought of, the fusion, the highest form of attachment to a product that creates that success of 20% growth for 20 years, like Harley's had discovered, because they have fusion marketing. And I think you're onto something, absolutely. Just from the description, I think the magic carpet best described what the Curtis One is. And if you could imagine the value and articulate the value of a magic carpet, I think you nailed it. CurtisMotorcycles.com. They are available now to order. Is that correct, Matt?
Yes, sir, they are. Thank you.
Let's all go. I'm going to the website today and convincing my wife. So better than Louisiana, we got some California stretches out here that are absolutely, I'd like to fly a magic carpet down some of these PCH rows when nobody's awake. I'm an early riser, if you haven't noticed. And then we'll also, I spend much time in Louisiana, so I'm gonna come visit you, and we'll have maybe a po' boy or something together.